Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Well, check out Deal to Heal Teas. With our inspirational teas, you're sure to find something that will inspire you. Just go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. That's Deal to Heal Teas. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tea and be inspired all day. That's Deal to Heal Teas at dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Hi guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you'll enjoy the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I'm your host, Earnest James. And on my podcast, my guests and I discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with their problems, heal from the pain, and to fulfill their purpose. So check out our podcast. We're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or even on Audible. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel at Deal to Heal with E. James Podcast. Until then, see you soon. Welcome to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with E. James. We believe that the relationship between a dad and daughter is one of the most important relationships in a woman's life. Our mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by spreading the voices of girl dads to the world and give love and support to all of our dads and their daughters. Let's get to it. Let's tune in. Hey, welcome to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. I am your host, Earnest James, and I believe that a relationship between a father and a daughter is one of the most important relationships in a woman's life. Therefore, my mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by spreading the voices of girl dads to the world and to give our love and support to all of our dads and their daughters. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. If you haven't already, make sure you listen, like, subscribe, and share our podcast on all of our social media pages and our Girl Dad Discussions podcast platforms. Make sure that you guys are definitely checking us out, Facebook, all those good places. Also, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We share a YouTube channel with our partner podcast, the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. So if you go to YouTube, go to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, and there on that channel, you will find the playlist for the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, as well as the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. And we also got some other podcasts coming up. So on that channel, you will be able to find several podcasts in the near future. So make sure you guys go there to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. And there you will be able to find the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, as well as the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Also, I want to tell you guys how you can win $100 from the podcast. But you have to stay until the end in order to get that information. So make sure that you guys hang out with us and go check that out. So today, just like any other day, we are blessed with the guest, Mr. Atkins. How you doing?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
I am doing good, man. I'm doing good. First of all, let me say thank you for being here, because you could have been doing anything else with anyone else, but you're here with me and my listeners, and we definitely appreciate it. So just to start it off, do me a favor, rather. Introduce yourself to my listeners and tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay. My name is Jai Atkins. I live in the D.C. area. In my 9 to 5, I work downtown in the nation's capital, trying to save people's jobs one case at a time for a labor union. My free time, I'm a freelance creative, so I do everything from writing to graphic design to some strategic planning. And when that's not being done, I make time always to be a dad, of course.
Right, right, right. And this is the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. So, first question I want to ask: what is your daughter's name, and how many children do you have? First
Okay.
of all, and then how many daughters do you have, and what's their names?
Okay. I have two children. My son is 18, just started college. This is his freshman year. My daughter is 10. Her name is Jordan. She's in fourth grade, and she keeps us on our toes.
Definitely, definitely. So when I started this podcast, it started as a addition to the Deal to Heal podcast, because whenever I have a girl that on, I would start off by asking them two questions: what does it mean for you to be a girl dad? And then what is something that your daughter has taught you? So we started off right there with them same two questions. So just in your own explanation, what does it mean for you to be a girl dad?
Wow. For what it's worth, I have definitely watched a couple of episodes of this podcast, so I've enjoyed the conversation and taking listen to some of the answers the other dads have given. Uh, for me, I'm a man who I definitely consider myself to be an ally to women in general. I have a lot of women friends who come to me with questions about everything from relationships to friendships and anything dealing with a man. So um, I know the importance of just being a positive male figure in a woman's life.
Mhm.
So as far as being a girl dad, I think for me, I've embraced the opportunity to kind of be in this future woman's life from the very beginning, showing her everything that I possibly can as far as leading from example to just being there for her at all times. So so it's a role I take very seriously. I definitely understand the importance of um, positive male figures again, and just in women's life, especially in the modern landscape. So as far as that being with my daughter, it's something that I take great pride in, and I take very seriously.
All right, all right. So let's go back to the beginning. As a dad, how did you even find out that you were going to be a dad? Well, I know you were a dad with your son, but
Mhm.
when it came to your daughter, how did you even find out that, hey, we about to have another one?
Man, so apparently, I'm not sure if my wife has a deal with the big entity upstairs or not, but for both of my children, I found out kind of the same way. My son, I found out when I came home, literally in the parking garage of the airport, coming back from a convention for work. My wife put the key in the ignition, cranked it up, and stopped and said, "I got something to tell you." That's how she did it with my son. So I was gone for 10 days and came back to that news. With my daughter, it was kind of the same, but nowhere near as extreme. That was just a regular day. Came home from work. She was at home. My son at the time was 7 years old, so he was in the living room when I got home. I walked in the door. She said she just had something to tell me. So she immediately walked down the hall, around the corner to the bedroom. So I'm thinking, okay, something happened with my son. She doesn't want to have this conversation in front of him. She closes the door. So now I'm thinking automatically, dad switch kicks in. I'm like, okay, I got to take this information in, process it. Then I got to go have that conversation with him about whatever this is about to be about.
Right.
And instead, she drops the bomb on me. It's like, okay, I felt some kind of way. I got a test done, got the results, went to the doctor for a second opinion. Ta-da!
Right.
Once again, we got another one on the way. So and then that conversation starts. How are you feeling? Vice versa, and we're back in the saddle again, so to speak.
Right, right. So even with that, how did you find out? How did you guys find out that it was going to be a girl? Did you guys wait, or did you guys was like, hey, let's find out right away?
I think with us, we definitely have always wanted children, so it wasn't a matter of fact of. Unfortunately, we didn't have the luxury of planning with either of the children, so it was like we wanted to know as soon as possible. So we knew how to get things squared away. So if we had stuff we could carry over from the first kid, which was a boy, cool. If not, then we got to start from scratch with everything.
Right.
So just from a planning standpoint, we found out as soon as possible.
Okay, okay. So how was so you already had your first child, which was your son, and
Yep.
so your daughter comes. So
Yep.
how was those first of all just in contrast with a newborn son and a newborn daughter,
Yep.
that experience, and then just how was your experience with your daughter as a baby, coming up? Just how was those experiences for you?
Oh man, I think that it's interesting because, of course, with the boy, you have the same stereotypical answer that most men give. Uh, they when they think about having a kid, they most of them lean towards saying, "I want a son," for any number of reasons, because it just seems easier, something you can relate to easier. With him just being my firstborn, it was instantly like a love I never had experienced before when he was born. I've told numerous people in my friend circle when my son was born, there was a point that next morning where I held him at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I boo-hooed like a baby. It was just
Mhm.
that emotional kind of spillover just kind of hit me and I lost it. With my daughter, I guess because I was already kind of, that newness of having a newborn in your hands for the first time. That wasn't there, but still the fact that she was a girl, brand new to the world. The first time I held her, I still remember um, the connection was instant, and it just so happens that our birthdays are 7 days apart. So I'm not sure if that has
Mm.
anything to do with it, but from the very first time I held her, it was first off a new love. Secondly, just because their personalities are so different, the way that she interacts with me and vice versa, even that's different from how me and my son interacted around the same time. So it's just love from the gate.
All right, all right. So I know we raise our daughters, and we pour into them, just our kids in general, but definitely our daughters as being girls, dads. We're pouring into them and teaching them things that we think is important for them to learn. But in that process, they are always teaching us something at the same time. And
Right.
so, in that vein, what is something that your daughter has taught you, just as a person?
Oh, man. That's a good question. I think I want to say it's probably two things. My daughter is a chef. I mean, when I feels every single emotion, she feels every emotion from any person who's close by. It could be a blessing on her life that, in the future, but as of right now, it's kind of a headache because she doesn't know when to kind of just leave things alone or know what's for her and what's not. So I'll say for her, I've definitely learned to be more in the moment because I'm a fairly blunt and straightforward thinker and speaker. But I can always just kind of look at her and see how she's processing my information. So I'm more in the moment of seeing how I speak to her, regardless of tone, to see how she's processing and how she's receiving the information. But then also, I've definitely found myself being more intentional about how I move in my household with my wife, with my son when he was in the house, and even with her, because she's kind of like me. She's very observant. So I notice she's watching even when she shouldn't be. So I'm intentional with the way I interact with her mom, with how I interact with her and things that she says and how I listen to let her know that I am listening, even if it's something that's totally outside of my realm of knowledge. Like I notice she's paying attention and keyed into what I have to say and what I think. So I'm very more intentional as far as how I just do everything.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing that you mentioned about being intentional of how you interact with her mom in front of her. I don't think a lot of guys really take that in consideration, and I know that was one of the big things with me, because two things. So me and her mom divorced when my daughter was probably like 7, and I remarried. And so it was important to me to not only be an example of how I interact with her mom, but also how I interact with her stepmom,
Mhm.
because there is a chance that she may grow up and get married, and then she may get divorced.
Right.
So because we're in this situation where you can see it from both sides of how I interact with your mom, even though we're no longer together, and
Mhm.
then also how I interact with your stepmom, who I am with. It's still a level of respect and
Oh,
being able
awesome.
to communicate with both of them in a way that can still show respect and still instill in her the values of this is how you handle these situations. So
Yep.
I was very intentional on that. So I'm glad that you said the same thing about being intentional, because again, I don't think a lot of guys really think about that um, in the midst of raising their children, both the girls and the boys, because I
Yeah,
think they both need that example.
I agree, 100%. We're more so focused, especially as the fathers. We're more focused on just being the standard bearer. We're laying the groundwork for how you do things and how you don't do things, and we protect them. So as long as we do that, we should be good. And that's not necessarily the case. Like there's more to that, and I think you're 100% right that we can lose focus of that a lot of times, and especially with girls because they tend to be. I won't say they always are, but they tend to be more emotionally driven. That
Mhm.
you have to be very mindful with everything. So intentionality is key for me.
Right, right, right. Okay, so we talked about something that your daughter has taught you, but even not only do they teach us things, but they also mold us as we're molding them. So share with me something that, in a way where your daughter have just being a girl dad, should I say, has changed you for the better, and just being a man yourself.
Wow. Okay, I wasn't prepared for that one. Let me see. The way that she's kind of changed me and molded me. Um, I'll say that I definitely have become kind of on the same lines of me being more intentional with everything. It has definitely, I'll say, it has softened my approach with with basically everything. I definitely don't want to harp too much on it, but I grew up in a rougher kind of upbringing, um, and that in a way has kind of shaped the way that I kind of see the world, the way that I navigate the world. So
Mhm.
in a way, I've kind of instilled in my children um, how much that the world is what it is. You can take it or leave it, but basically you have to find your path and navigate it the way that you best see fit. But again, with her, like I said, I always am keyed into how she's receiving what I'm telling her, and I find myself talking uh, not at her sometimes. It depends on the issue that we're discussing, but it's led me to want to be a little bit more mindful with how I talk to her. I take the edge off of being so blunt. Sometimes I have to kind of soften my delivery, just so she understands that I'm not upset. I'm not disappointed in her. It's just the fact of me trying to instill a little bit more logic in some of the issues that she's dealing with, especially in elementary school, because she's going through a lot of just navigating just personalities with girls around her age. But I want to say it's made me be a little bit more softer in my delivery, depending on who I'm talking to and the occasion.
All right, all right. So one of the things that I talk about with our daughters as we're raising them and watching them accomplish different things and hit different marks, and definitely taking pride in some of those things. What would you say is probably one of your biggest accomplishments as a father, and how it relates to your daughter?
A compliment. That's interesting. I don't know if I can necessarily take credit for this. I definitely will say that my wife and I are an amazing team. I feel when it comes to just kind of laying that foundation for both of our kids. But I want to say something that my daughter does, and I think I can probably take a little credit for just a little bit, is she's fearless and willing to take on anything. Like she's I call her like the queen of experiences. She wants to experience anything. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's there before her, she wants to try it. Um, and it's on me, and I find myself regularly trying to help her when she doesn't succeed at whatever it is she's trying, to just let her know that It was your first time trying whatever it was. So don't be so hard on yourself. If you want to keep trying it, I'm here for you to support you to keep trying it. But if not, no problem. We'll find the next thing that you want to try, and we'll throw everything into that. So I'll say that that's probably the best way I can answer that question.
All right, all right. Now on the flip side of that, we even as parents, we are still human and we still make mistakes
Absolutely.
and sometimes we still have some regrets and some things that we do. And
Yeah.
so I always say I want this podcast to be not just entertaining but educational for the young fathers and other girl dads that are coming along. So just in raising your daughter, may have been something that you look at now and say, you know what, either I regret doing that or maybe I could have did it a little bit different, and just something that that you maybe can share to another father, another girl dad, that what, in this situation you might want to handle it a little differently than the way I did or like I did.
Right. Um, it kind of harkens back to something I've already said. Is like I definitely try to speak to my daughter in a ways that she understands clearly what I'm trying to get across to her, but just to kind of let her know the reality in her fourth grade type of way of processing whatever it is we're dealing with. So I will say that sometimes I could do a better job of listening to her from the beginning to the end of her expressing whatever it is that she has to get off of her chest, whether it's something good that happened or something that was bad that she wants to get my opinion on, or just looking for dad to just be dad, put my cape on and just kind of help her, see whatever it is she was going with. I have a tendency, unfortunately, I will say, to kind of jump in when I see where she's going down a certain path. Even though more often than not, I'm right. It's not
Mhm.
about being right. It's you have to be able to give her opportunity to be able to get out whatever she is that she wants to get out, if for nothing else, because you don't want her to grow up thinking it's okay to be interrupted. You don't want her to grow
Mhm.
up thinking it's okay for a man to kind of cut off whatever thoughts or feelings or opinions that she has. You want to make you don't want you don't want her to feel invalidated, her opinion to feel invalidated. So I would definitely say that's probably what it is. Sometimes you just got to let her get it out, even if it's the
Right.
same thing that you heard yesterday and last week and maybe even a month before. And sometimes you just gotta let her get it out, even if you're saying the exact same response or even shifting a little bit. I think that in itself is that matters.
All right, all right. I'm gonna hit on that a little bit in our next segment.
Okay.
But before we go there, before we go to the next segment, share with us an impactful story or just a memory that you have uh, with your daughter that you believe may be impactful, uh, not just to her, but even maybe another father also, or just a memory that stands out to you, with just the two of you guys.
This is probably the easiest question that you've asked me so far. So I appreciate this question. I'm glad we got here. Um, I'll probably say my greatest memory is when my daughter was born. My wife was off work. So for about those first 2 or so years, if I'm not mistaken, of her being, since she was born, and every day, without fail, uh, when my car turned to the driveway, I could hear her voice coming towards the door because she knew I was coming home. I
Mm.
mean, when I say every day, I mean every single day. And we're talking, like I said, the first 2 to 3 years of her being alive. So we're talking about a 1, 2, 3-year-old child. Um, the minute I put the key in the door, she was standing at the door, waiting for me every time because she recognized the engine sound of the car hitting the driveway. That was, I can't even explain it. Like that was some TV show straight to the small screen level
Right.
love. Like you wouldn't think that was real until I saw it every single day, and I want to say the joy and the pride that put into me, even when she didn't have words, and eventually she did, unmatched, unmatched. So I'll definitely say that That hands down is my most vivid memory of hers.
All right, all right. So we're gonna switch it up just a little bit and go to our second segment of the podcast, was called "Getting to the Core" segment. To my listeners, the "Getting to the Core" segment comes from a ebook that I wrote called "The Four Core," which is the four core values that every daughter should get from her father. You guys can get your copy at ebooks.ejames.com. Again, that's the core four, which is the core four values that every daughter should get from her father. And so in this segment, we just like to talk about the core four values real quickly. So the the values are guidance, affirmation, love and affection, and the last one is protection. And so those are the four values that I think is the most important as just a foundation, right? And so one of the things I told you I was going to get back to, when I talk about protection in the ebook, I also talk about safety. And I talk about the safety to be able to express, for her to be able to express herself, which is what you were alluding to earlier, which, not getting used to getting cut off or someone stopping you from speaking. That one of the core values that we want to instill in our daughters is not just that physical protection, but also that protection to be safe in who she is and expressing herself the way that she wants to. And so that's why I wanted to hit on that, because you hit that right on the head when you were saying that about your daughter. I'm like, yeah, because that's one of the things that I put on there. So when I believe you had a chance to look at the core four. And so just in your own uh, opinion, out of those four, with the core four, which one do you feel is probably more important to you as a father to instill in your daughter?
Um, like I said near the top, I've seen other episodes, so I definitely will echo other dads when I say they're all important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think any one is more important than the other. But I think I will take this opportunity to say, for me, again, first off, they're all important, equally important. But I'm gonna say affirmation. And the reason I'm gonna say affirmation is, like I said, I speak to a lot of women, from my wife to good friends I've had since high school, college, cousins. Um, the one thing I want to say is, when my daughter leaves from under my umbrella, if you will, she becomes an adult, moves on to that next phase of her life. I want her to understand that she is worthy. I want her to feel self-confident. I want her to feel self-aware. I want to be self-aware. I want her to never question who she is. And for me, I think that starts now. So I try to affirm my daughter at every step, every day of the week. It doesn't matter. Just so she understands, one, I'm always here. Um, but at some point, I won't be as close as I am right now. I won't be able to reach out and touch you. I need you to be able to understand that whatever my dad has put into me since the beginning, my foundation is strong enough that no matter what I face, I know that I'm prepared to face it one way or the other. So I'm gonna go with affirmation. I mean, protection is huge. Mainly, I say more so because of the emotional side, especially from a
Mm-hmm.
dad. Um, Guidance, obviously, we want to set that loose skeleton for our children to have some type of structure to kind of face the world as it is in all of its forms. And then, of course, love and affection kind of goes without saying. Like, it goes more than just protection. I need you to be able to, like, my daughter is 10, and now she's found a new liking to wanting to lay on me now at age 10. Like, we'll be watching a movie and she'll just come over and just literally just lay her body on me. And I think it's she's just looking for that closeness. And of course, I never shun her from that. But I'm gonna go with affirmation, just so she always knows that she matters.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Love it. So last question. Last question. The ebook is called The Core Four, which is the four core values that I thought was very important. But if there could be a fifth one that you can add, what would that one be?
What would be the fifth one? Wow. What would be the fifth one? I'm gonna try to say this without getting in trouble. Um, I'm gonna try to. So I'm prefacing this by saying again, I am an ally for any women who watch this episode. So just don't jump on the words I'm about to use. I'm gonna try to soften it as much as possible. I will say being a little more logical. I don't know if that's the right word, but we'll go with that. Sometimes it's very, and even for men, me especially, it's very easy depending on the topic to hear things and to instantly jump to feeling a certain way about it, or from like again for me, jump to just wanting to offer the solution versus just kind of taking, receiving, processing whatever the issue is, and then responding. I will say that my daughter is extremely emotional with everything. And for me, I am working diligently and on a daily basis, trying to get her to say, just take a step back when she feels that kind of instant knee-jerk reaction to anything coming. Just pause for just a beat, take a step back, and look at whatever is before you. Look at what you heard. Look at what's being presented to you, and see if it really warrants the reaction you're about to give it, if it warrants the amount of concern that you're about to give it. I know that's easier said than done, depending on the issue, but sometimes I think it's just necessary, and that's something that'll help you out from childhood through you being a teenager to even when you're an adult. Sometimes if you can just force yourself to take a beat and just look at processing exactly what it is that you're dealing with, it could help keep people from getting in certain situations. So I'm gonna say from a dad, because it's girl dad discussions. If you can pull that from your father, take a beat for a second with everything before you respond. Look at things a little more logical.
Yeah, yeah, and you hit it right on the head. The way that I explained it is facts over feelings,
Yes,
right?
it is.
Yes, whenever you are addressing any kind of thing, and I'll say it for you because I say it all the time. Our daughters, just women and females in general, are a lot more emotional and they react more emotional, just offhand,
Yes.
right? And so, as a father, one of the things we has to teach our daughters is, okay, slow down. Like you said, let's separate the facts from the feelings. Let's try to look at everything factually before we react in our feelings.
That's it.
Not how it makes you feel, but what are the facts of it? Because sometimes if you address the facts, it takes away the feeling. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You may be hurt by what someone said because you feel like they said a certain thing or you feel like they meant it a certain way. But if
Mhm.
you take a second to evaluate the facts, you may find out, oh, okay, maybe my feelings were wrong.
Right.
And I can act accordingly. So yeah, you hit that right on the head. Like I said, I definitely preach that often, like facts over feelings. Let's learn how to, make that distinction between the two
Yeah.
before we react, or even in our decision making. When we're addressing a decision that we're faced with, let's look at the facts of it, not how it makes me feel, because it might make you feel one way now, and then you'll be feeling another way 5 minutes from now. But if you deal with the facts, because facts don't change,
Yeah.
then you can address it, and then it'll be okay today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah, yeah. This has been great, man. This has been great. I really appreciate you being on, man, and taking out time to have this discussion with me. I love having it. Because we are out here. We are the girl dads and we are out here. I started this to combat the fatherless daughter notion. You know what I mean? And to let the daughters know and the mothers know that, yeah, there are fathers out here that are very active in the lives of their daughters, and we exist. It's not a myth, right?
You're right. 100%. You're 100%
So
right.
I definitely appreciate you being on. I want you to have the last word. And you can leave us with a word of advice, or have you feel fit, inspiration, something for maybe the other girl dads, or even maybe something for the daughters. However you feel to express yourself. And then also, if you have any social media links or pages or things like that that you want us to kind of the audience to follow you and stay in touch with you, I want you to have a moment to share that. So I'll give you a second to think about that. To my listeners, I told you guys, first of all, let me say thank you guys for being here. Make sure that you guys are following us on our websites that we have, the dealhealfulfill.org. That is my main website, where you will find out stuff about the podcast, stuff about me as a speaker, and the different workshops and things that I have going on personally, and even booking me to come out to be a speaker at your school or organization. Also, you can go to Deal to Heal Tees to check out our inspirational t-shirt line. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tee and be inspired all day. If you go to Deal to Heal Tees, you'll find something surely that will and brighten your day. Also, you can go to ebooksbyejames.com to get your copy of the core four values that every daughter should get from her father. There are also other books there. We didn't forget about the sons. There also is an ebook called From Males to Men, which is for a short male mentoring book for young men. And also some other ebooks that is there. So you definitely can go to ebooksbyejames.com in order to check that out. Also, make sure you subscribe to our text line. Our text line number is 866-326-0730 to receive text messages about new episodes, ebook releases, event information, even new podcasts that we got coming up, right? So you want to make sure you text our text line or subscribe to our text line 866-326-0730 in order to get stay abreast of that new information. Also, I've been blessed to be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops every quarter of the year talking about forgiveness. So we talk about forgiveness, what it is, what it's not, who is it for, forgiveness of ourselves, forgiveness of others, forgiveness of the world. And we just hit a lot of different aspects around forgiveness. And it's definitely free. And again, it's virtual, so you can enjoy it from your home. Just make sure you can go to forgivenessmission.com and find out when the next one, because whenever you're listening to this, either one is just ended or one is coming up. So make sure that you can register at forgivenessmission.com or just go to Eventbrite and register for the forgiveness workshop. Again, it is absolutely free, but very important nonetheless. Last but not least, I told you guys at the beginning, I would tell you how you can win $100 from the podcast. So you can win $100 by entering our super subscriber contest. First, you must subscribe to our YouTube channel, to our Facebook page, and to our podcast on Spotify. Then text the word WIN, W-I-N, to the number 866-326-0730 to qualify to win $100. The contest is random and it's ongoing, which means once you in, you can always win. You don't have to re-up. Once you apply, you can always win the $100. Also, word of advice, when you text the word WIN, W-I-N, to the number 866-326-0730, make sure you leave your contact information. We have people that's texting the word WIN, but they don't say who they are or leave their email address, so we can't send you your $100. You want the $100, right? Make sure you guys, when you text the word WIN to 866-326-0730, you also include your name, your phone number, and your email address so that we can contact you if you are our $100 winner. So that being said, again, Mr. Atkins, thank you so very much for being on. I really appreciate it. I would like you to have the last word, so the floor is yours.
Okay. First off, I want to thank you for hosting this very important type of podcast, especially in the current climate where everything is so negative, so divisive, especially between men and women. Something that allows men who are choosing to be present, to be in their children's lives, especially a young woman in training, I think is very important and very beneficial. So thank you, first off. As far as a last word, there was my wife actually showed me this TikTok or Instagram reel, I believe it was this morning or yesterday, and it was with a young dad. The guy had to be early 20s, and he was sitting in a car after attending a father-daughter type of breakfast at his daughter's school. If I had to guess, because this is all assumption, that the little girl was under 5, let's say, and the young man was emotional when he was talking about just showing up for his daughter for a father-daughter breakfast at the daughter's school. He mentioned, not having the same situation with his dad, and you could just, when I say he was emotional, he was fighting it while he was talking to the video camera, but you could see a pride that was trying to burst through the seams of the fact that his daughter was that happy that he was there in that moment. All he did was show up, and the way that she kind of reacted to that moved him in such a way that you could just see that he wanted, almost like he was looking for another opportunity to do something else, to kind of just show up for his daughter. So I'll say the key thing is it's great to be in your child's life. It's great to do things for your child, for your daughter, to provide and protect, and all those things are amazing. But being present is huge, and being present is honestly as simple as just giving genuine time, spending genuine time with your daughter from an early age. Sometimes we're met with opportunities or a lack of opportunities, depending on our situation with the children or the mom, what have you. But nonetheless, be present in your daughter's life. Let her see you at every turn. Spend time with her. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If she's small, it's just as simple as sitting with her to watch her favorite TV show, to move flashcards with her if she's old enough, to play with her whatever she wants to play with at the time. I won't even say dolls, because she could be in the trucks. She could be in the fishing. It doesn't matter what it is. Introduce things to her, spend time and do the things that she likes, but most importantly, just be present. It's not enough to just be in the house. It's great for her to see you, but it's even better when she sees you and you interact with her regularly. So be present, be present, be present.
All right. We can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys for tuning in to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, where we believe and we know that the girl dad is the daddy-daughter relationship is one of the most powerful relationships in a young woman's life. And so we want to make sure we're doing our part to sow into you as fathers and daughters, so that you can have the best relationship possible. With that being said, until next time, you guys be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with E. James. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and subscribe to our podcast on all your podcast listening platforms. Also, don't keep it to yourself, but share it with someone else, that the Girl Dad Discussions podcast is on the air. Until next time, be blessed.